This episode of The View from the Rock is brought to you by Sign Dog Northwest. They're your source for custom signs, banners, boat names, fleet graphics, and more. Custom design services available. In addition, this episode is brought to you by Merle Inc. They're the premier custom home builder in the Cle-Elum area and a proud featured home builder in Suncadia Resort and Tumble Creek. Welcome back to The View from the Rock. I'm your host, Ruck, and I'm so happy that we're finally getting our newest episode in for this new year. It's been forever since we did an episode. It's been since the Secret Live podcast. And today we're going to get to talk about movie soundtracks. We're going to talk about a beer of the week, which will be surprising for everybody. And we're going to talk about our top 3 pro wrestlers. Swap, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. And since you gave that intro, I'm doing better. Just sent shivers up my spine. It's been so long. How about you, Mr. Morgenthaler?
I feel good. It's a good start to the new year, except for the Husky game, but we'll talk about that. I think it's been almost a month since we've done one other than the secret podcast.
Yeah, I felt like I hadn't seen you guys. Like when I saw you at school the other day, I was like, hey, how are you?
Yeah, it's been almost a month since we were here in the Yellow Dog Studios. The secret podcast was amazing. It was an amazing event. It didn't really feel like a podcast, and then it didn't go on the airwaves either. So it's been almost a month.
I think Ruck can talk about that, but I was just happy with the turnout. Basically, I thought it turned into an ultimate Christmas party.
Yeah, and the day was perfect. It was the Friday before Christmas, so a lot of people were able to get off work. And
there was close to 80 people there.
Yeah, and we didn't know. We thought maybe there would be 40.
Yeah,
and it was a who's who of awesome people.
It was fun. I mean, the Mount Vernon boys showed up.
Yeah.
Nice to see. If you tried to put that group together without this podcast, it would never happen.
And shout out to our host there, Jeff Lisenby with the Anchor Inn.
Yeah,
they were on their game.
Absolutely. It's definitely one of those things where there was a real confluence of events that led to it being as perfect as it was, from the standpoint of all the people that showed up, all of the fans, all the friends, that if you just said, hey, let's go to the Anchor and have some beers, sort of start the holidays right, you wouldn't have got half the people there.
Yeah.
No.
And so that was a special thing for us to be there. You know, like I had some family there. I had some of my friends, which normally wouldn't interact with maybe all of you guys and your friends and my other friends. So that was pretty cool to see everyone.
We had family there.
We had 2/3 of our moms were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom was not there.
Yeah. I don't think your mom would come.
Some people who had never been to the Anchor before.
Yeah. Had your mom ever been there?
No, and she had a nice glass of wine.
Did she say nice?
Well, no.
The Silverthorns were there in force.
They were. I had 2 of my aunts there. And then we actually led to a nice dinner across the street, down the road a little bit. We had a table of about 14 at the Vagabond.
That night turned into an S show, basically.
Yeah.
It was a huge party. It was fun. And then it ended up down here at Yellow Dog Studios. Not necessarily in the studio, but in my basement.
Yeah. It was a legendary
That was a great day.
18 hours.
I mean, there's a few people, I won't name names, but like lost their wallets.
There was a lost wallet, and we're not going to name any names.
There was stuff left there.
I was going to say, at one point, we thought we'd left the shirts there. We thought we'd left a bunch of stuff.
I'm like, where's the shirts?
It is a miracle that the shirts and the money were all accounted for the next day.
Speaking of, we still have some merch. We're going to do some new orders.
Yeah, we whoever did the orders had some sizing errors. So we had a lot of mediums and smalls that were requested, and we're going to put in an order for those.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing for me, too, is that I hadn't told many many people about the podcast, including like my parents knew I did a podcast, but then that I went to do a podcast and there were 70 people there. I think they were kind of like, oh, like this is not just you and your buddies talking and hanging out. And so I think they actually listened to their first podcast. Maybe they'll listen to this one. Who knows?
So what do we got going on locally right now?
Local hoops is going. The boys and girls, we're grinding through January. You know, we had a good trip to Yakima.
Mm-hmm. And it looked like things were
we're on the up and up.
Yeah.
We played really well 2 games and left Yakima feeling great. Shout out to Single Hill Brewing.
Oh, we got to
feels like
talk
it's
about
been a
that.
year ago.
It feels like a year ago. We walked into Single Hill Brewing, not to get sidetracked. Just gonna, we had mentioned Single Hill a month or 2 ago and had one of their IPAs as our beer of the week. And we went in there to, get a nice beer.
Because it's right next, it was a block from our hotel.
And we dropped smack dab into trivia night.
Within 30 seconds of starting.
So you guys participated?
Walk in, yes, and they said, hey, here you go. You sit down, you're playing. And Swap and I played.
And our team name was Merle Inc. Because we were wearing our merch.
Yeah, we're wearing Merle Inc. merch.
How'd you guys fare?
We got a 0.
So let me qualify this, though. The last round, you could bid all your points. Or you could bid as many points as you wanted to, and we were trying to win.
So we bid everything.
And then we lost.
We lost the last round. So we ended up taking last because we got 0 points.
And what do you get for taking last?
We get a pick 1 trivia round for next time's trivia.
Which probably has already happened.
I think it's happening this week.
Yeah, I think it is. Because
Road
we
trip.
were there on a Wednesday night.
Yes, I think it's happening tonight.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
And guess, Rock, what what we picked? Because we're from the west side.
Oh, God. I have no idea.
Anacortes Trivia.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
So we said that, and they announced it, and then these guys at a table were from Natchez, and they wanted to talk about fishing and crabbing.
Yes.
It was-
and then football was brought up. And we actually, when we sat down and grabbed a beer, and we're like, you know what? We're going to win this bitch.
The categories were awful. One of the categories was gum.
Or history of gum.
And then there was one where they listed all these New Year's traditions, and you had to decide whether it was real or fake.
And every 50% true or false, or we got wrong.
Yeah.
Wow. There's a real art to making trivia. I remember when we were doing COVID and we were doing some trivia in COVID, and someone was in charge of trivia for one of the nights. It's hard coming up with good ones because you think, oh, this is kind of cool. This might be challenging. No, you don't want it challenging.
No,
If
No,
it's too
you
hard,
don't.
it's no fun.
I know.
Yeah.
You want everyone to get like at least 70%.
And so
to
those
80.
ones like the history of gum, no one knows that.
Oh, it was fun.
It was
though.
fun. So I thought we were going to do okay. And then, we're like, oh, crap. And then they're like, oh, Merle Inc., you guys finished last. You get a pick next week's trivia. And
Everybody's looking at us like we're a couple of bumpkins.
Have you guys ever done the Longhorn trivia?
No, I've heard good things about it, though.
yeah,
It's good. It's like I was saying, it's challenging at times, but it's definitely attainable. And if you've got the right conglomeration of people from different
Is that a
walks
group of
life,
4 only?
I think it's limited to 4.
Well, so that was another handicap we
Holgers
had.
do that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were a group of 2
Yeah.
at Single Hill, and there were tables with 8 people.
And Single Hill is just kind of like Bastion. It's a tap house. Or not. No, not really.
They make their own stuff. So it's a
Yeah,
brewery.
yeah. Okay. So they have dogs are allowed and family. And then they have some food.
Okay.
Yeah, there
And
was
you can
somebody.
bring your own food in.
Somebody was eating a nice grilled cheese.
Yeah.
With tomato soup. It looked good, but I had already eaten that night.
Yes. So it was that was fun. But we came back from Yakima feeling really good. And then we kind of hit a bump in the road with basketball, losing 2 out of 4.
Cedar Crest and Lakewood?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're back on the up and up a little bit, and we got a game tomorrow night, and then basically 2 games a week, and in 3 weeks the regular season is over.
Yeah. Just
wow.
just when you think it's starting, you're over the hill.
And the girls they're plugging along.
I think they're 8-4.
They had a tough injury to my niece, Reese, point guard.
Broken wrist?
Yeah. So she could come back maybe first week of playoffs. So they're trying to get through that.
I saw them play, and they were playing Marysville Pilchuck. Went with my brother over break, and they dominated.
Yeah.
Won by like 60.
Yeah.
Marysville Pilchuck is my wife's alma mater.
Go Tomahawks.
Yeah.
Are they still the Tomahawks?
I think they are. I think that I just need to be careful what I say because it's 2024, but I think the tribe
Endorsed it.
okayed the
Yeah.
Tomahawk mascot.
And there was only one high school then,
yeah. Back in the day, and it was huge.
because we used to play our district tournament there.
That's right. Remember, it was so cool because there were stands behind the basket.
Yep.
Well, at one point, that was the largest high school in the state population.
I think it
Well,
was.
in the late 80s, early 90s, man, there were some great athletes coming out of there.
Palcoa.
Palcoa brothers,
Yeah.
Brent Montague.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys might not know who this is, but Jared Rum. Have you heard that name?
Track guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Thrower of some sort.
Yeah, he went to Boise State,
Rome?
and he medaled in the Olympics, I believe, in either shot or discus. But yeah, he was
Wow.
big time. Yeah,
Wow.
Well, and then we had the college football playoff, and the semifinals was probably one of the most fun nights I've ever been a part of.
That was, between that and the Pac-12 championship,
Yeah.
very similar nights.
Yes, same house, same seat, same food,
Same beverage.
same shirt.
Yeah.
Like it was same people.
It was pretty cool.
It was fun.
that Texas game, it just felt like such a classic Pacific Northwest game where you think we're gonna win, but they're just gonna be some heart attack kids, and it went down to the wire. And man, I love their aggressiveness, but there were a couple times where it was just like, if you would have played it close to the vest, we wouldn't have been in that situation. But I also think that I hope they do something about that rule where, gosh, having a guy get injured and making it so that you can't run timeout. Like,
Well, and that was a real injury.
oh yeah,
It wasn't like,
Oregon.
yeah,
I know. And so I get that there's a rule to prevent a team, if you were driving down the field and it's, less than 2 minutes and you need to score, using fake injuries as timeouts. I understand that they're trying to avoid that, but there's got to be some way they can modify that so that you don't get a team that gets just absolutely screwed by that.
Well, speaking of, that guy transferred to Wazoo.
The Oregon guy that faked the
Yeah,
injury.
so now they can fake it at Wazoo.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't remember what you're talking about. Was that in the UW game this year?
Oregon's been faking injuries the last 3 times we played them.
So real quick, the college football, the semis, I got to give a shout out. So Big Chris, who's a Beaver, we made a bet, not a substantial amount of money, but so I won that. He had Texas and I had Washington, and we made a call to him after the game, and he answered. And we were at a different level than him, I think. I know. And so he took it, and then we made another bet for the national title game, and
He won it all back.
yep. So he gets it, and we talked this week, and so I told him, he earned it, and I had to eat crow, and he called me probably 10 times during the game. And then I talked to him after the game. He even called me yesterday and asked if I was doing okay.
That game against Michigan, there were so many moments in that you look and you go, if we had just executed that play.
Yeah.
And Michael Penix said it after, as he's like almost going to cry, that they didn't beat us. Like, we beat ourselves. There's these situations where we always make those plays and we didn't. And
that's
all.
We've made those plays every game all year.
Well, and there's a lot of in the national media and social media, Michigan just dominated, and they did run for 280 yards or whatever it was, but that game was 20-13 in the fourth quarter, and we hit a Dunze on that long pass, and it comes back with a holding call.
Yeah,
and that game, we're right there, fourth quarter.
Even that play where he misread that pass in a Dunze, that was a touchdown. We had the drop with the running back on third down.
Yep.
And some of the, I don't make excuse like to do that, but like there was a lot of stuff where they held all game.
Well, and after
Rosengarten got screwed a couple times, and he had a bad game.
Yeah.
And just bouncing back from the start of the game where those first 3 possessions for them, they score and there's just long runs, and you're like, this is ridiculous.
I know.
We're going to get just destroyed. And then somehow their defense recovered. I didn't think that was going to happen.
No, middle of the game, the defense gave him a chance to get into it.
Well, just winning a title in whatever it is at any level is so hard.
It's hard.
You have to be lucky, good, avoid injuries, like a state title.
And what is it about Harbaugh that is so annoying?
So annoying.
But he's also a cheater.
Yeah.
He was there, 7 games this year?
Yeah.
Yep.
Out of 15?
Just even like when he's won and he's getting interviewed and he's looking up the confetti and his interview that he gave where he's like, just look at all the confetti. Each one tells a story. Like,
or at the beginning of both games, just do you.
He's out
We're
there.
doing you, and we're going to be fine.
He's out there.
So he's gone. He's going to the NFL.
So is he the next Seahawk coach?
Oh, better not be.
Well, speaking of Pete Carroll today.
Yeah.
So I hope not.
How do you guys feel about that? You okay?
I'm fine with Pete Carroll being done.
I'm not.
I think it's time. It's been, 16 years?
The
14.
The lows
How
right
many?
now.
14.
The lows right now are 9-8, 9-8. And I just worry they're going to be 4-13 next year.
Yeah, I have some mixed feelings. I kind of agree with both of you that had kind of felt like it might be time, only because I feel like the current players we have seem to not buy into his message very well.
Well, and they're young.
And they're young, and they get under my skin and annoy me. Like, I hate having to watch Tariq Woolen avoid contact. It drives me insane.
Yeah.
And, he got benched some. So I know Pete is doing all he can, and he's one of the best motivators ever. So if he can't get him to do what he wants, like, who else is going to? But, I didn't want Pete to leave and be fired, and I didn't want him to not be a part of the organization. So I'm just happy that somehow he's still part of the organization. That was a big thing for me.
I don't know if I want Dan Quinn.
Vrabel?
I think Vrabel would be great. Like, he's like...
It's an interesting idea.
But would he go to New England if Belichick is done?
Man.
Wouldn't that be crazy? So not only today did Pete Carroll step down amicably and is going to be part of our organization, but then Nick Saban retires. And if you get Belichick out, all maybe in the span of a week, there's like 3 of the greatest head football coaches that we've had in this recent run of games.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I haven't read much on Saban. Who's taken over there? That's not an internal deal or anything like that? They're just going to open it?
I don't know.
I only saw the headline that he was retiring.
Yeah, me too.
It'll be interesting tonight to watch some just press conferences and see. The whole NIL thing and the portal is huge. Like, Nick Fantini was talking the other day about a buddy, and he said, we are going to bring in like 4 high school kids because we're getting 20 transfers for football.
Wow.
And they've already played, so we know they can play.
Yeah.
Like, we're not bringing in anyone. So it's got to be hard for a high school kid.
Oh,
And what level?
Yeah.
Small D1.
Okay.
And on top of that, we're still feeling the effects of everybody getting that COVID year.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we ready to move on? We don't have any shout outs, no mailbag.
Oh, I got one new shout out.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's not on the notes.
It's not. but this guy is a buddy of mine, more of a buddy of Ross's.
Yeah.
And I see him at the gym, and he was a fireman, or he still is, I think, EMT, and he's also a fishing guide. But Rick Davis, his son Braden, we used to have maybe in class. So he saw him at the gym the other day, and he was just like, "Hey, you guys are awesome." And I'm like, "All right, thanks, Rick."
I'll be damned.
So we got a couple new listeners out there. So
Love
Rick, thanks for listening.
Appreciate it.
Okay, what do we got next, Mr. Ruckdashel?
Well, we're going to be talking about a musical genre of movie soundtracks. And so that doesn't mean the main theme song from a movie that was made just for that movie. Often these could be compilations where they've taken all these different popular songs and combined them into one track that they've used at different times in the movie. Sometimes, though, they will have their own original one. Like, kind of one that comes to mind is, I think Lion King, the soundtrack for it, has some originals, but also has some that were not original. So like that, we're just out in the ether, right? Am I getting that right?
I don't know much about the Lion King soundtrack.
That was a big time in my life.
Hakuna Matata? Did I say that right?
And I think that would definitely
That
be
means
one of those.
no worries.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
We learn every time we're on the podcast. We learn something new.
So speaking of
Yeah.
the Lion King, you want to hear one joke I have about it?
Oh my gosh. Is this a new segment we're creating? Jokes with Jay?
This is kind of funny.
Okay.
I think it is.
Fire away.
So Simba was walking too slow. I told him to Mufasa. Yeah?
It's not bad.
Yeah, that's good.
How did you come across that joke?
It's in my repertoire.
I think he meant his oeuvre.
Or whatever. Yeah. I actually found a bunch of old dad jokes, and I left them on my phone for notes. And I thought that one was funny.
I
and
think
I
that's
told
gonna
it to the
be-
kids at school, and they laughed.
That's going to be a new segment from now on.
Maybe one joke.
Joke of the week.
You're going to tell
Bad
dad,
joke Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad jokes until we laugh.
Okay.
I've
Well,
got
that one, I can't. That's number one.
I've got a great Mike Tyson joke.
Oh, no.
I'm not going to say it.
Maybe in a few months.
Yeah. I guess it was a Mike Tyson joke. Maybe he wouldn't remember it. So, I was looking at this list. I'm a little confused because we're doing movie soundtracks, but you also have number one singles. So can you clarify why we're talking about number one singles and movie soundtracks? Is that like which one rose to the top?
So we're sitting here before the podcast, and Ruck asks, so why are all these songs here number one singles? I thought we were talking about movie soundtracks. And I said, well, my number one movie soundtrack is from the movie Singles. And you said,
This is like a movie that you guys have seen.
Oh, my God.
so Ruck has never heard of or seen the movie Singles.
Matt Dillon.
And I think it's 1994.
Yeah. No, God,
92.
Man, and maybe 92, because I think I was still in the Seattle area then.
Filmed in Seattle.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And all of these songs were on the soundtrack. So we have Screaming Trees, Nearly Lost You, Alice in Chains Wood, Pearl Jam Breath or Breathe, Smashing Pumpkins Drown, Chris Cornell Seasons, Mother Love Bone, Chloe Dancer, Crown of Thorns, Soundgarden Birth Ritual, a Mudhoney song. They did one band did a cover of a Zeppelin song. Like, amazing soundtrack.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what threw me off is that I looked at it and I thought you guys were just putting down your favorite songs.
So that was my number one movie soundtrack was from Singles.
And when the movie came out, it really coincided with, it came out right before these bands all
Took off.
Yeah. And when the movie came out and it coincided with these bands taking off. And then the movie with the characters and what they were all going through, it just kind of fit into that whole grunge motif.
And some of these band members were in the movie.
Yeah, I think Chris Cornell was in the movie.
And I think Pearl Jam, some
Pearl
of Pearl
Jam
Jam was in
it.
the movie.
And then Matt
Before they were
Dillon
real famous.
was like the main character, and he was in a band called Citizen Dick.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So I mean,
I haven't watched it in 25 years.
I know. I need to rewatch it.
I
So
wonder
Rock,
if
you need to watch it.
I wonder if it ages well. Like if we watched it, would it be
So,
good?
I don't know.
I was just looking to see, now that you started to talk about it, what sort of critical consensus there was about it. If you go to Rotten Tomatoes, has a 79%.
Is that
That's pretty good.
Says smart, funny, and engagingly scruffy. I don't even know what that means. Singles is a clear-eyed look at modern romance that doubles as a credible grunge-era time capsule.
While you're on there, give me some cast members from that.
Yes, sir.
I want to say Jennifer Jason Leigh.
So we got Bridget Fonda.
Bridget Fonda?
Bridget Fonda.
You said Matt Dillon. We got Campbell Scott. Don't
Oh,
know who
yeah.
that is. Kira Sedgwick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sheila Kelly.
No, I don't know who that is.
I don't recognize that guy. Oh, Bill Pullman.
Oh, I didn't know he was in that.
Bill Pullman, the president of. Do you remember the movie?
Independence Day.
There we go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And
Jeremy Piven.
oh yeah, I read that today.
Tell me who the hell that is.
So he's in Entourage.
He's the lawyer.
Entourage.
He
The
is
lawyer. Ari.
Ari, the agent,
Yeah.
who's a jerk.
I haven't seen that show in so long.
So, Ruck, you can add that to the list of movies you're going to watch that you say you're going to watch but don't really watch.
Hey, I watched something recently that I said I was going to. I don't remember now. Tom Skerritt, also in that movie, it says.
Oh, doesn't he
And
own
actually,
He used to live on Friday Harbor.
out here somewhere?
Or I actually met him in Safeway in 1990 in Anacortes.
Doesn't he own the bar that we were in the one night when we right before the White Buffalo?
Oh,
Am I making that up?
I don't know. The White Buffalo when we were in Seattle?
Yeah, and we were watching wrestling on the phone.
Maybe. So that is the Alibi,
Yeah,
right by the gum wall.
right. And we
I
were
don't
in
know
there.
if he owns that. That would be something that Josh Johnson would know.
Remember, we were watching
Yes.
wrestling,
Yeah, with Kyle,
and Talon got a pin.
and we almost got kicked out.
Yeah.
Yes. So what about you, Swappy? What's a movie soundtrack that really appeals to you?
Well, number one is Boogie Nights, and I hate everything coming back to Boogie Nights over and over again. But that's a great soundtrack. And the nice thing about Boogie Nights, Ruck still hasn't seen it.
that's correct.
Yeah, they've got Volume 1 and Volume 2. Boogie Nights. Volume 2 is actually better.
That sounds like something that Boogie Nights would have. 2 volumes of music. Just because.
So you've got Boogie Shoes, Casey and the Sunshine Band. You've got Fooled Around and Fell in Love, Elvin Bishop. You've got Jesse's Girl,
Really?
Rick Springfield. You Sexy Thing, Hot Chocolate. You also have Sister Christian.
Night Ranger? Oh, yeah.
What?
Well, the best scene in that movie, I don't want to ruin it for you, Ruck, but they're trying to rip off a drug dealer. And
I need to rewatch it.
oh, you need to. It's one of the best scenes ever. Alfred Molina is the drug dealer. You wouldn't even recognize him. He's the drug dealer, and they're trying to rip him off, but everybody's all coked up, and there's a lot of tension. And and he's playing Sister Christian, and there's this little kid there who's throwing firecrackers. Do you remember this at all?
Yeah. I do.
So every time I hear Sister Christian now, I think about the little kid in the drug house throwing firecrackers on the ground.
Sorry, I had to look up Alfred Molina. But now I know who that is. The
Doc
guy-
Ock.
Yeah. I also was going to say he's the guy in the beginning of the original Indiana Jones who's the guy that gets killed.
That's right, the guy that tries to double cross Indy.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, as I've been looking at these soundtracks, I would say that they definitely tend to be a time capsule of like whatever era they came out in. So like Singles, definitely they said is a time capsule of the grunge era. So that would be good for me to go back and look at. But then the one that came to my mind first was Space Jam. And that takes me back to the 90s. I think it came out in the 90s, didn't it?
Yeah, Michael Jordan.
96. Yeah. So then I look at like who the people are on it. Seal, R. Kelly,
Ooh.
Coolio, Salt and Peppa,
That's straight
LL
90s.
Cool J, Quad City DJs, like Jay-Z,
So you were
Man.
8. So that would be something that you would watch after you get up from your nap.
And you'd have a bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios and watch Space Jam for the 42nd time.
Damn, it's like you guys were my parents at that age because you would have been old enough. Oh my gosh,
man.
you guys are relentless.
R. Kelly was on that soundtrack.
The great R. Kelly.
That didn't age
Is
well.
he still? Is he out of prison?
Still making poor choices? Probably. I don't know. Is he still in prison? I can look that up.
So I got another one that just for us was big. And it basically comes down to the one song. When you ever hear this song, you think about this movie and with the Breakfast Club.
Oh, yeah.
So Simple Minds.
Yeah.
Don't You Forget About Me.
Yeah. I can see Judd Nelson right now with his fist in the air.
Yeah. Leaving the high school.
Yeah.
He had just kissed Molly Ringwald.
Yeah.
And gave her a necklace or a ring.
That is such a great movie. And, you know, when I first watched it, I felt like I could identify with one of the kids in there. And now I feel like I identify with the vice principal.
That's so true.
Yes.
I'm that guy now. And he was just an ass.
I know.
Did he also say quiet please? Quiet please.
No, but he hated those kids and he hated his job. I'm not there.
I was about to say, what are you
But I
admitting?
mean, think about it. Having to work on Saturdays.
With just a bunch of knuckleheads.
It's crazy that,
They used to do that.
yeah.
Saturday school.
Yeah. You'd show up and sit there.
I think it existed during my time.
Can you
Saturday school.
imagine anything worse than Saturday school?
At 7:30 in the morning.
They should
showing
bring
up.
that back. Can you imagine telling a kid, hey, you do that one more time, you're getting Saturday school?
Oh my goodness! But then to have to be
And then
the
what if-
person that would go in on Saturday to supervise them.
Yeah.
That's a whole new level. Of
The
hell.
worst job ever.
You couldn't pay me like triple overtime to do that.
So the Breakfast Club was just that song
Yeah.
brings it.
So I got another one for you. Purple Rain.
Ooh.
1984, maybe. Ruck, you probably know a couple of these.
Well, so that's a movie because I thought that was like his song or album.
So that was a movie.
So,
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
but it was also his album.
Okay,
But Purple Rain was a movie.
and it's also a song too.
yes.
And I think it was 1984. Was that 84? And I saw that recently, and it was whatever year it was the most 84 movie you've ever seen.
Yeah.
But Purple Rain, obviously, When Doves Cry, one of our sponsors, Sign Dog, is probably just going to cry when he hears us talking
Oh
about
my
Purple
God,
Rain.
that's the GOAT for him.
Yeah, Prince.
Is Prince.
Because of his shredding abilities.
Let's Go Crazy,
Yeah.
Darling Nikki.
Yeah, that was a really explicit song
Yes.
back in the day.
Have you ever heard Foo Fighters cover Darling Nikki?
No,
Dave Grohl does a good Darling Nikki.
I bet he does.
Yeah. No, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Is it a good movie too?
It's if you're a Prince fan, I mean, there's a lot of Prince, obviously. In my opinion, and this is sacrilegious, if Sign Dog was here, he'd probably curse me, but it's not a great movie.
So we're gonna take a look at Rotten Tomatoes, see what they say. 72%. So just a little below singles.
Seems a bit high.
Makes for undeniably uneven cinema. That's the first line they say about it. Held together by the star's singular charisma and a slew of classic songs.
There you go.
The songs hold it together. Beautiful. So you guys had this on the list, and it was going to be something that I put down. So I'm just going to steal it from that list you have. Forrest Gump. That is such a great soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
Like you don't even have all the songs that are down there, but like I just start reading off, and so they've got Elvis Presley on it. CCR, Fortunate Son, that's one that definitely stands out in my head. They've got Buffalo Springfield, Bob Dylan, Simon and Garfunkel. Like there are 32 songs listed here, and so I'm not going to go through all of them. Three Dog Night, The Byrds. I mean, it's a crazy list of songs that I imagine that soundtrack must have won an award.
Well, the movie did a great job of going through modern American history, popular culture, tying music in with the time that they were reflecting. They did a great job of that.
Yeah, you can definitely see looking at the music that it's definitely progresses over time through the generations.
What do we got next?
Well, I got one that I don't know if maybe Ruck's seen this, but the movie Friday. So that's with Ice Cube and Chris
Singleton?
No.
Tucker?
Chris Tucker.
Tucker.
And this is like early Chris Tucker, and this is basically just all rap. So like Dr. Dre, Ice Cube sang a song called Friday. Dr. Dre, Keep Their Heads Ringing. Rick James sings a song called Mary Jane.
Have you watched the Rick James documentary?
I have not. But I will. I need to. Is it on Netflix?
I believe it's on Netflix.
But Friday is a great. If you haven't seen Friday, you need to watch Friday.
You know, I've seen bits and pieces, so I
But
probably
just
need to go
watching
back.
the movie is just. It's just. I mean, that was early '90s. I mean, I probably watched that 50 times in college.
Wow. Yeah, no, and there's like
But
another
the music
movie,
was
right?
good.
Next
That's
Friday?
right when I was getting into rap, and my buddies were all into rap, and you have Death Row Records, and you have Snoop and Dre and Tupac and Biggie, like all that music coming together in like 94, 93 to 96 before they had died.
I've never seen Friday.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Okay,
So
so
you
I'm
need
not
it.
taking the heat on this one.
No, that's
Swap
a,
hasn't seen it either. That's permission
that's
for me not to have.
just
I just took a bullet for you, Rock.
Appreciate it.
that's a good one.
It's one that actually I feel like pops up a lot on the streaming services, and I kind of go, yeah, I probably should have seen that. I feel like that and what's the Woody Harrelson movie? White Man Can't Jump. I haven't
You haven't
one
seen
either.
that?
No.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, I feel like some of those.
Oh yeah, with
from that-
Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
It's a
Yeah.
good movie.
yeah,
yeah.
it is. You need to
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people in that movie you might recognize.
Marcus Johnson.
Yeah.
the announcer,
Yes, that also played at UCLA.
big time.
But I have, Pulp Fiction. Do you guys think about
soundtrack.
that one?
Yeah.
Well, you could pick almost any movie that that guy's produced.
Travolta? or you mean
Tarantino?
Tarantino. Like all of his soundtracks are spot on.
So over break, my daughter and her friend were over, and I recommended Pulp Fiction to them.
Really? They hadn't seen it?
They'd never seen it.
Did they watch it?
They did.
They probably didn't like it.
Well, she hated it.
Yeah,
See, I think these new kids,
much blood.
these kids would not like it. I don't know.
How could you not like it?
Just like Kill Bills or, I just watched one of his movies over break or last week. Last weekend, Once Upon a Time in
Oh
Hollywood.
my God, that's such a good movie.
Oh,
that's the Brad Pitt one.
yeah.
And
Where
Tarantino.
He's the is he the stunt double for DiCaprio?
Yeah, DiCaprio.
And it's during the 70s when Manson,
Yeah,
when that group killed,
Oh right.
yeah.
what was her name?
Sharon Tate.
Yeah.
And they kind of reimagined
redo all that.
whole thing. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's good.
It's really good.
I rewatched it. It was good.
It's a good movie. Pitt and DiCaprio.
Oh, they're good
They're
together.
so good in that.
Agreed. I've got a movie here that is not. Well, I shouldn't say this. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
You know
love
what?
the
I was just
music
going
of
to say that.
I love the music on that, and I don't know that it's. Do you know if it's a compilation or is it their own stuff?
Well, I think T-Bone Burnett, I want to say, is the architect of most of that music.
Okay.
But in the movie, like Clooney is singing that,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
you know?
It's one of those movies that I don't know if that song existed before, but man, it's a real toe tapper.
What is the name of that song?
In the movie?
Constant
Oh, Brother-
Sorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Love
think that's
that.
like an old, I think it's an old song.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch that.
That's a great
It's
movie.
been a long time.
Coen Brothers.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be one we should do as top 3 Coen Brothers movies.
Ooh.
So what are some of their other stuff?
Raising Arizona.
Is
I
Fargo?
haven't seen that.
You haven't seen Raising Arizona?
Is Fargo?
Fargo?
trying to think if I've seen Fargo or if I've just seen the TV series Fargo.
You've probably just seen the TV series.
So you've got to see the movie, Steve Buscemi.
So we need to come up with maybe in the next couple podcasts of top 3 movies Ruck needs to see.
That'd be a great one. Next episode, will you write that down on the list?
Yeah.
We had a bunch written on our list,
know we
and
did.
then you
We
edited the copy.
I did?
Yeah. It's okay.
So here's the question then.
It's okay.
I know.
It's okay.
Our loyal listener, Cameron Hunt, would you please send us that list that you sent Swap and I on text?
Because my texts disappear after a month.
So, and then also, I think we have the list from Mythen.
Yeah.
On email.
Right.
Somewhere out there in the ether.
I actually have a folder podcast called Podcast.
And we also have a Gmail account. So if anybody in our loyal listening audience has suggestions for top 3s, you can send it to theviewfromtherock@gmail.com. And if you want a shirt, you could also email theviewfromtherock@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We also have a social media presence on Instagram. And so if you DM that account, we can get you some of that stuff too.
And we're going to start up on Twitter too. I'm going to be in charge of that.
X.
Or X, yes.
It's always going to be Twitter to me.
So, hey, a couple more that I have written down just because of the music and because I love 70s, like Dazed and Confused. Slow Ride, Sweet Emotion, Love Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I mean, some great music. And then thinking about, like, have you seen Almost Famous?
Yeah, that's with the creeper Kevin Spacey, right?
I don't
know.
think
No. That's American Beauty. Almost Famous. No, I've seen that. Yeah.
Who the hell is
But who's
Almost
in that?
Famous? Who's the guy?
So Almost Famous is with Kurt Russell's daughter.
Yeah. And
She's
her
the
name
roadie.
is.
All right, I'm looking it up.
And then there's the kid, and then there's the guy that's the rock star. And I can't remember
and
who
so
plays
the
either
kid
one.
is supposed to be Cameron Crowe.
Yeah.
So Cameron Crowe directed it.
Kate Hudson.
Kate
Hudson.
And so their band in the movie is called Stillwater.
Yeah. Who's the singer?
Is this a female?
No, it's a
It's
male.
male.
And so when
Billy
I'm
Crudup?
looking at this,
Yes.
what?
Billy Crudup.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very
So
handsome man.
Supposedly what Crow says is it's a blend of bands, the Allman Brothers, Eagles, Skynyrd, and Zeppelin is how he tried to create Stillwater. But some of the real music, like I didn't even realize this, McCready played guitar and some other real musicians for that.
So I didn't know that.
And they just they faked it all.
Can you remind me who McCready is?
He is the lead guitar player for Pearl Jam.
That's right.
And speaking of real quick, they're coming out with a new album. And it's supposed to be back to where McCready goes off.
Would you say that it's
On
supposed
solo.
to be Amazeballs?
It's going to be a one. Like old McCready. Sign Dog and I are super excited. There's going to be some shows. Swap. We might be going to Wrigley.
Oh.
At the end of the summer.
Well, I know.
Or Napa.
Napa. There's that festival in Napa with Pearl Jam, Queens of the Stone Age, Stevie Nicks, and The Offspring.
Offspring would be excellent.
Yeah.
I would love the Offspring. So
Any others you got, Ruck?
yeah, there's one that's not on here because it's not really your style of music. This is the kind of stuff that I listened to when I was in college. And this movie was definitely a popular movie for me when I was in college with the Western kids. Have you ever heard of the movie Garden State?
I saw that on there. I have not heard of that movie.
Is New Jersey the Garden State?
I believe so. It features Natalie Portman
Ding ding.
and Zach Braff. Zach Braff from Scrubs. And it won an award for that year for the best compilation soundtrack. And it's got Coldplay, Don't Panic, The Shins, Caring is Creepy, 07 in the Waiting Line, another song from The Shins. What else? It's got a Simon and Garfunkel song, Iron and Wine.
Sounds like a
Fur-Fur.
late 90s movie.
I want to say
early
It was
2000s.
early 2000s. Yeah, 2004, which would make sense because
That music
it was
is
right
right
around when
there.
I graduated high school. And so yeah, it was the movie that you'd watch when like freshman year of college.
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
It would show you're really like edgy and like a hipster, but great movie.
Yeah.
So we got anything else before?
I got a couple.
Okay.
So Above the Rim.
Above the Rim.
I've literally never heard of that movie.
So that's when Tupac. So before he got into music, he was in a bunch of movies. So he was in Above the Rim, but it was really like a lot of Death Row records, just a lot of rap. Like I just got big into rap right around 95. Just my buddy Colin from Oregon got me into it, and I just fell in love with that. But that's one of them. 8 Mile.
Yeah.
With
Eminem.
Eminem.
How about Judgment Night?
Judgment Night. That's probably early 90s movie.
Have you seen that, Ruck?
Never heard of it.
So these guys they rent like a RV and they're going to a boxing match maybe at the Forum.
And do they take a wrong turn
They take a wrong turn and end up in like inner city LA.
and try and fight for their lives
Yeah.
to get out?
It's pretty good. Emilio Estevez.
So like some of their music, Cypress Hill, Run DMC, Pearl Jam's in that one. How about Old School? Not the movie Old School, but
I was thinking Old School probably has a great soundtrack.
Saturday Night Fever.
We had an Old School moment after that Husky game.
We did a little running around the cul-de-sac.
Was this-
not like Old School, but
So it
Half
wasn't
like Old
nude?
School.
No. it was fun.
Just topless.
There's no video of it, so that's good.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever, the Bee
Have you
Gees.
seen the movie?
I have with Travolta.
Yeah.
It's good.
Travolta was talented.
I mean, Bee Gees are. I like the Bee Gees.
yeah.
So
Yeah, Swap doesn't.
hey, since we're right there, I mean, Grease is
I
one of the
know,
most famous
Grease.
movies
I
now.
like Grease.
I
so
don't.
Okay.
So there we're even.
That can be included though, because it's like a musical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that leads me to another musical we haven't mentioned. One of my favorite movies, especially to watch with.
Can I guess?
You can.
Moulin Rouge.
No, I've never seen that.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah. I was going to say The Sound of Music. I love that movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh man, all the songs in that are just so good.
Got a little Edelweiss in there.
Oh, Ada.
Okay, so this is the last one. Well, Do the Right Thing.
Yeah. Great
Public
movie.
Enemy. Did you know that Samuel Jackson was the radio host? And his show was We Love Radio, 108 FM.
I think I did know that.
Can you even get to 108? Doesn't it go 107.9 and then it goes to. then it
then I
goes,
think you're done. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How about Top Gun?
Top Gun.
Danger Zone?
yeah.
Little Kenny Loggins.
It's a lot of Kenny Loggins
Hey,
there.
speaking of Kenny Loggins, how about Footloose?
Oh, yeah.
See, as we're going into this, I'm realizing how many there are that we are just not going to end up mentioning that people are going to mention.
That's
that we
fine.
should've.
Just bring it.
I mean,
Tara, bring it to us.
Cameron Hunt, you probably have 10 soundtracks better than any we listed. Tell
That's
us what
all
they
right.
are.
Mythin.
Detroit
Roscoe.
Rock City, the movie.
What's that?
Detroit Rock City, the movie. I bet it's got a great soundtrack. It's all Kiss.
It's all Kiss.
Yeah.
Did we leave any out then that we need to make sure we mention? Or
Well,
is that
I don't
it
know. I mean, we could go on.
forever?
Yeah.
Well, Tara's probably going to say we forgot Dirty Dancing.
Well, I haven't seen it, so whatever.
Oh, jeez.
So hey, we're gonna do a top 5 movies, me and you, that Ruck needs to see.
And then he needs to watch them.
So my question is, what is my top 3 for that episode? Is my top 3 or top 5 movies that I think I should see that I haven't seen, or is it movies that you haven't seen I think that you need to see?
Maybe his top 3 should be ones that we haven't seen that he thinks
and
we
we
need to
and
see.
we need to watch the think that we haven't seen.
So then for you guys, are you going to say things that you think I haven't seen, or are you
Well,
going to ask
the
me
ones
ahead
that
of time?
we already know you haven't seen.
Okay. All right.
I think
like this.
One on our list is going to be Garden State, apparently.
Yeah.
That's good. I don't see. That's the thing is, am I trying to educate you, or am I trying to find movies you haven't seen that I think you would like? Because I don't know that you would like Garden State.
I would like the ones that you think we would like.
Okay.
And then I'll watch it.
Have you seen
Down.
Weird Science?
No.
Oh, my God.
And you haven't seen Revenge of the Nerds.
No, I've seen that. Every time you say you haven't seen that,
But you
I
haven't
have
seen
it.
So Boogie Nights.
Yeah. Have you seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
I actually tried to start watching that, and I got like 2 minutes in, and I was like, I
You need to go a little farther.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not in the mood for this, and I stopped because I didn't want to ruin my perception of the movie.
Caddyshack.
I've seen Caddyshack.
Okay. We'll have to. Well, we got our list.
Okay.
Okay. Well, when we get back from the break, then we're going to be talking about our beer of the week, followed by our top 3 pro wrestlers. Welcome back to the View from the Rock podcast here in the Yellow Dog Studios, and we are going to get into our beer of the week, but there's a little bit of a twist to it. So, Jason, tell us what our beer of the week is this week.
Our beer of the week is Run Wild IPA by Athletic Brewing Company.
Ooh, sounds tasty.
In San Diego, California. And for those of you, I think a few of you might know a little bit about Athletic Brewing. They're the number one, I believe, best non-alcoholic brewer.
Wow.
In the USA.
I mean, they're widely available.
Really?
If you go down pretty much to any of the beer stores, you're going to be able to find Athletic. And
Well, I know they're super popular. I've seen ads and commercials.
Yep.
So at Athletic Brewing Company, we are pioneering a craft beer revolution. We believe you shouldn't have to sacrifice your ability to be at your best to enjoy great brews. So we created our innovative lineup of refreshing non-alcoholic craft beers. So I did some research, and I believe this is 0 ABV.
Well, yeah. That's a 0. Does it have IBUs?
I don't know.
I think they
It
normally
did
still
say
do.
it was less than 0.5%.
Oh, so there still is alcohol in it.
Trace alcohol in it.
Oh,
And this
trace.
IPA, this can of IPA is 65 calories.
Is that less calories than a Michelob Ultra? Which is Tara's favorite beer.
I normally don't drink that kind of piss water, but
Oh, Tara. It's okay. We love you.
So why are we drinking this non-alcohol IPA?
So all of us are doing a little cleansing,
Much overdue.
but we are going to do a 90-day, 75 to 90-day cleansing.
It was going to be 75, and then as the Huskies were storming back on Monday night, Mr. Morgenthaler looked at me and said, "I'm going 90."
Because that puts us right at spring break.
And then
And then just whatever happens in spring break happens.
Mrs. Swap said, "Why don't you do 365?"
she would like that.
Did she really?
She did. To me, not to you.
Well, my wife would love that too, probably. But she
So-
doesn't listen to the podcast, so who cares?
Yeah, I'm not doing this sort of cleanse that you guys are. I'm just trying to be healthier in the new year. And before we even talked about that you guys were on this cleanse, I had actually already been having some non-alcoholic beverages over break, and I had been really enjoying them. I've had some different varieties in this, and I kind of like, for me, interspersing some of these with like a regular beer, like have a regular beer, a non-alcoholic, and then maybe another regular beer, especially if like you're in a social situation. It's kind of weird when you're trying to limit yourself and you're trying to talk to people and you've got nothing in your hand. So to me, that was kind of nice. And knowing that I'm not missing out on anything. And they taste really good. There's just some times, I feel like where not only social situations, but you're going to have some nachos, you're going to have some barbecue, some burgers. I feel like a beer goes with that so well.
And these are good. This is a nice beer. I know we haven't all sampled it yet, but I've had these in the past. And, 20, 30 years ago, the non-alcoholic beer was like your O'Doul's.
And that was it.
Or your Sharps.
Oh,
I don't think I've ever had those. Are they? I mean, I've heard
they're terrible.
There's a taste to them, and you're drinking it, and it's got this little taste.
This will be my first ever non-alcoholic beer other than O'Doul's.
Wow. Well, I also think too that, we have a lot of great listeners out there, and I don't know, maybe some, I would say probably there's some out there that don't have beer, don't like beer. Either they're wine or they just don't have any alcohol at all. So if they, are looking to try something like this, it tastes fantastic. I don't know if this would be on the agenda for someone who's totally abstaining for the rest of their life in sobriety, but here to support you.
What would you pair this with, Ruck?
Let me give it a taste.
I'm going to give it a taste. It's kind of refreshing.
What would I pair that with?
I'd pair it probably with a chicken breast right now.
I mean, I do tend to
chicken breast, like a chicken breast, like on a salad.
No, like a grilled chicken breast, maybe. Yeah, maybe on a salad. I might pair it with some vegetables.
A nice veggie tray with hummus.
I definitely, when I drink it, it feels healthier. And so I definitely would agree. Chicken breast makes sense. Maybe a salad, the hummus tray. Sure. Like, my first thought though was like actually salmon. Maybe some salmon like on a salad or just some smoked salmon. Ooh. What I had over break was pretty good. I haven't had a lot of sardines. My dad loves sardines, so I had a lot of sardines out of the can and had some smoked rainbow trout out of the can. Some really good stuff. That would go well with this.
No, sardines are a 0 for me.
Really?
Maybe I just need to get into it. I've never actually done it.
You ever done canned fish?
Yes. We used to can fish.
Uh-huh.
So
canned salmon is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
And you can throw in a little spice if you like.
I feel like if we did a taste test, blind taste test, I could pick out the non-alcoholic based off my first taste of this beer.
But it tastes like an IPA.
It does. But the aftertaste a little bit.
So when I was talking about that taste that those old school non-alcoholic beers had, this does have, there's a little trace of that. I don't know what goes on it's not a fermentation process, but I don't know what goes on in the process of making this, but there is some byproduct that gives it a little taste.
I totally agree. There's a tiny taste in there. I think if you lined up beers, I could probably tell the difference, but I also would like to try some more. Some others that are out there. Maybe there's some that are able to hide that taste better.
So my father-in-law brought over the other night a porter that the Athletic makes.
And there's also
I'll be damned.
There's a lager or a blonde that the Athletic makes.
And I've tried their hazy, and I don't think I like it as much as this one. The hazy's just too weedy for me. I don't like wheat flavor in my beer.
So he swears by the porter.
We'll have to try that next then.
This is good. It's a good beer. I would drink this. Problem for me is it's a little bit of a gateway drug.
Yeah. I can understand that.
Yeah.
They also have something out there too now that's getting popular because non-alcoholic beers have become a real, I don't know if money maker, but like they become popular. You see a lot of them advertised now. And one of them I've seen is hop water. And I think that's more the seltzer route. Definitely not alcoholic, but it's made with hops. And there's definitely that sort of hop floral citrus flavor to it.
I think Lagunitas makes a hop water.
Okay. I know I've tried one that's actually called hop water, and I don't know, maybe that is made by Lagunitas. I have it at my house right now. I'll have to look to see if they make that, but it's outstanding. Really, really refreshing, even more so than this. So,
and Ruck, you were talking about some of the non-alcoholic botanicals that are out there.
Yeah, they actually make a lot of non-alcoholic spirits, essentially. So they use a lot of probably things like wormwood and whatnot to make some strong tasting botanical spirits that are in a bottle that looks like it's a hard alcohol bottle. And they make those into mixed drinks, and yeah, sort of a new rage as well.
So you could have a non-alcoholic gin and tonic.
Potentially. Yeah. I don't know exactly what flavors they're out there, and if they try to emulate like a gin, or if they try to, emulate whiskey as far as their flavors go, or if it's just a different flavor profile. But maybe we'll have to try some of those too. I think, for these next 90 days you guys are on the cleanse, we're going to have to continue to find some more of these non-alcoholic spirits and beers probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
It'll be fun. Well, as we're continuing to enjoy this Run Wild IPA, I think we're on to our top 3. And our top 3 is top 3 pro wrestlers. And so we're definitely going to have some different thoughts about this, because your time that you watched wrestling was in the 80s, and mine was like more the 90s when I was watching. So do you remember the wrestling organization when you guys were watching? Was it WWF?
Well, let me first off say that I started watching wrestling in the 70s.
Whoa.
And so I never did. I was probably 84.
Okay. So I started watching
Like
in
Portland?
the 70s, and I believe the show was called Big Time Wrestling. It was on Channel 11. And I went in the late 70s. I saw pro wrestling live in the Cedar Woolley High School gym.
Oh.
Yeah. Maybe you will remember the name Playboy Buddy Rose.
I do.
And then what really captivated my young imagination was the midget wrestling, which I don't know if I can say, but I just said it. And they had the star midget wrestler at the time was a young man by the name of the Haiti Kid.
The Haiti Kid.
Yeah.
So speaking of that,
Was he like from Haiti?
Well, at least that was his.
Was that how it was spelled?
Yeah.
Like the country?
Yeah. I don't
so
know if it
last
really
night I was sitting around looking at stuff, watching, and turned on Moonshiners.
Oh,
Yeah.
Have you
That's
ever
good
seen
stuff.
that? Well, anyway, they're on a new episode, and then there was a preview of the new show that comes on after it, and it was last night at 10, and it's midget wrestling. It's back. And there's a place in Tennessee where it's crazy, and it's a brand new show on Discovery, and it had these guys' names and everything, and I pressed record. So I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to watch it tonight.
Oh man.
Wow.
And it's
You are not consuming alcohol, but you are consuming culture.
Yes.
Right now.
I'm just shocked that a show like that gets greenlit. Like, what executive is saying, let's do some midget wrestling?
There's a place in Tennessee, and I'll have to find out, where it is like millions of people go to this town. And they're having now, it's just a showcase. And there's like 30 of them.
I'll be damned.
And so they showed the preview, and the first show, the pilot, and for episode 1 was last night on Discovery. So I'll let you know.
I can't wait to hear
Next podcast.
The recap of midget wrestling.
Now, did you ever, Portland had a big wrestling in the 80s, early 80s. And
yeah, and
did
it was
you ever,
like, God, what was it called? Pacific North.
well, you remember before WWF and all that, it was all in regions.
Yeah.
And then that's when it just came together.
Vince McMahon.
Yeah. And he bought it all. His dad, right, was first.
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea about any of that.
Oh, yeah.
So he obviously has ran pro wrestling for a while, but it's because he acquired it all and united it all.
Yep.
Okay.
And it blew up in like 1984.
And that's when I started watching big time.
Yeah.
And was it niche, or was it Like you guys were a fan of it, but maybe all your friends weren't, or is it like everybody was into it?
Every one of my friends were into it. We were like practicing moves at recess.
Oh yeah.
Like I think I might have hurt a kid. Like I think I gave Jeff Bassetich a backbreaker, and we had no idea what we were doing. And I think I hurt him.
Was that Brutus Beefcake's move?
Remember, just boom, right on the knee.
I think that was
backbreaker.
Remember,
and he's like laying in recess.
Oh man, remember Brutus Beefcake?
Oh yeah,
I think that was his go-to move.
I mean, not to get all like uptight about all this, but isn't that a bit of the issue with the pro wrestling, that all these moves are fake and it's all targeted towards kids?
But
and if kids, I mean, I'm sounding really stupid by saying that,
but
I'm just surprised I haven't heard about more kids performing these actually dangerous moves on each other and really hurting someone.
Can you imagine a kid putting the camel clutch on somebody?
Or doing the bonsai drop?
Oh, the pile driver?
I used to get like
Paul Orndorff?
figure four.
The figure four leg lock. Who was that? Who was the figure four guy? Because there's all these moves like the pile driver, and the figure four would like put people into submission.
We would do. I mean, imagine doing a pile driver at recess.
Yeah,
you could break. They could die. Like you break their neck. Like you got them in your head between your feet and legs, and just boom.
The Razor's Edge. Do you remember that move? It was a guy that was later on, like around the time of like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. But it was basically putting them over your shoulders and you just like suplex them right onto their neck.
Oh, man.
How about the DDT?
Oh, yeah. Remind me of what that was.
So I think they came up from behind and grabbed the neck and just boom down on the.
Oh, from behind, right?
Well,
whose move was that? Was that Triple X or no?
Triple H?
Triple H?
It was before that. Like
then there was the sleeper holds, where they'd have the guy in the sleeper hold and the ref would be checking his arm and he'd go,
I know.
His arm would be flopping.
But it's just, it's entertainment.
Well, and it would crack me up. You talking about the triple leg lock or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they've got the guy locked up and he just has the biggest look of pain on his face. And he's just like, make it
just
stop.
Pounding the mat.
No, I mean, I actually took the boys, Kelly and I, 2-1 in Seattle when Brendan was like 8.
Yeah.
Like he used to have all the belts, love it. But see, he loved like John Cena, like the new,
dun, 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 dun.
But the 80s was just where it was for us.
Yeah.
Well, those are all the wrestlers that, I mean, I already am going back on what I'm saying a little bit, but those are the wrestlers I feel like that are the most famous still are the ones from the 80s. Now, obviously, we've got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Dave Bautista, a bunch of those newer ones.
I mean, John Cena is...
Yeah, they've all become actors, though.
I know.
And that's why they really
Oh, yeah.
made it big, I feel like. I mean, obviously they were big before, but there's a bunch of people now.
See,
who
and I
watch
started
it.
getting back into or watching it just because Brennan watched it.
Yeah.
And seeing all these guys, and I'm like, dude, these guys, I don't even know any of them, But when I get back, when we think about it, I'll start. My top number 3 is Rowdy Roddy Piper. And just because, the kilt and he was a badass and he was arrogant and he was appealing. it was fun.
He was the perfect villain.
Yeah.
He was a bad guy.
His voice.
He'd play the bagpipes.
Yeah.
Remember he's my number 3 also. Remember he was in a movie? I think it was called They Live.
No, he actually lived in Hillsboro, Oregon.
Oh, wow.
So my family friend, my assistant coach from college, his wife, Mary Hoffmeister, taught his kids.
It's like West Portland, right?
So, no, yeah. Wait, like if you go Portland, Beaverton, Hillsboro, then Forest Grove, farther west.
Yeah.
And he lived out in the hills a little bit, kind of a farm school. And I got to meet him. And it was just, I was, in my late 20s. I'm like, this is amazing.
So do you remember Piper's Pit?
Yes.
And they gave him on each show, they'd give him like a little segment, Piper's Pit. And he would say like like racist things.
What?
I mean,
you could.
yeah. And he remember the I think the most famous one was remember Jimmy Superfly Snuka?
Yep.
And Rowdy Roddy hit him over the head with a coconut.
Yes. Oh yeah. So that was my number 3 too. Yeah.
And Swap's number 3. For number 3, I had put multiple names down, shuffled them with number 2. I ended up putting The Undertaker. The Undertaker is just so iconic. He comes out in the casket and then gets raised from the dead, and he's often choking people out. He's just so much bigger than everybody else. He's got the hat on. He's got the makeup. It kind of speaks to what you're talking about with Roddy Piper as far as it's all about showmanship. I feel like at least maybe those older ones, it was all about how they dressed. It was this like character, this persona that they created. Undertaker definitely lives in the memory banks.
So when I went
Kinda freaky.
when I went to live in Seattle and watch wrestling,
Yeah.
he showed up.
Well, I mean, he's been around forever.
And it was at the end.
What's crazy is there will be people in the stands, like old ladies, that just hate him. They just want to kill him.
And everyone is dressed like him and Kane, his brother Kane. Do you remember Kane?
It sounds familiar.
But Undertaker is 6'9". And Kane is like 6'8", 6'9".
And I was trying to decide whether I wanted to put him on or Diesel. You remember Diesel? Kevin Nash, 6'10". Those big guys were just so like crazy impressive in the ring
Nash,
and moving like that.
remember there was a time when they joined the WCW.
See, this is a generation gap here.
But
I don't know these guys.
But see, like they went to, it was like late 90s when Hulk Hogan went black. Like he was black.
He went evil,
uniform.
right?
Yeah, evil.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Nash, like Big Papa Pump, like all these guys. Because I got into it a little bit during then because when I was coaching at Pacific, all the guys that are like probably 6 years younger than me were all into it.
Oh,
So they would watch it.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who's your number 2?
So my number 2 is Hulk Hogan. And
Yeah, brother.
remember the song "I Am a Real American"?
Oh yeah, I had the whole soundtrack.
Yeah, and I would play that over and over, and I'd walk out of my living room, my bedroom, walk down our hall. If you've never been to my parents' house, it's basically a 40-foot long hallway. Mm-hmm. And I'd walk down there and come out and just imitate Hulk. I'd rip my shirt. And this is like 1985, 86. And that song would play. You remember we'd come out, "I am a real American."
Well, they were playing up the whole because his rival was the Iron Sheik.
Yeah. And so it was America against him and Nikolai Volkov,
Yeah, the
Russian.
they had the two of them together had a name. What did they call them? I'm going to Google it while you talk.
So I'm not familiar with that song. Is that like whenever you see the meme of him playing a guitar?
Yes,
Is that
is it. And he'd play a guitar. He'd do the fake guitar.
So it wasn't.
I
it
don't
wasn't really
know
playing.
who sings that.
Okay. It wasn't made just for him though, was it?
I don't know.
Okay. And the Sheik,
Iron Sheik.
Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
Was he,
he
from
was-
another country?
He was, I think, Iranian.
Yeah.
Okay.
And his move was the camel clutch.
Yes. And he'd get you behind his knees and then he'd like pull up your chin.
Yeah. It looked like he was going to pull your head off.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's frightening.
Oh, yeah. Junkyard Dog. I mean, all these guys, it's so hard.
So Ruck, there was a like an album that came out. It was like the wrestling album, and there were like 8 songs.
And they do that now, like John Cena's song. So like Brennan and Rowan would have those, like we'd have them on DVD. Like he'd play it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
his song, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so my number 2, also from that era, was George the Animal Steel.
Oh, yeah.
You heard of him, Ruck?
No, I can't picture him.
Okay, so George the Animal Steel was bald. He was a little bit shorter than the other wrestlers. He had the most amazing set of back hair I've ever seen in my life.
No, it was full body.
Yeah,
Like there was no place on his body that wasn't hairy.
and like really hairy. And his move would be like in the middle of the match, he wouldn't even care what was going on. He would just start eating a turnbuckle.
Yes. And he probably retired in 87.
Yeah.
Like he was around in the 70s and
So this is kind of related. Andre the Giant. Was he a 70s wrestler then?
He was right in that great era of wrestling. He was right in the heart of that.
So there's a documentary on him, HBO.
Yeah.
You need to watch. It's pretty fascinating.
He was like, what was his? Was he a popular wrestler?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He was like, I wanted to do this one wrestling like a top 10
Oh, I could not have.
because he would be in my top 10. He might even be in my top 5.
Gotcha.
Because that's where Hulk actually broke the barrier of being the best when he beat Andre the Giant.
Remember he body slammed him?
Yes.
Do you remember that whole deal?
And he's like 450 pounds.
And Hulk picked him up, and it wasn't like a big body slam, but it was
just like, I can barely pick you up, and I am 6'6", 300.
Yeah.
But he picked him up and body slammed him.
And he was about done because he was dying.
Well, in this show.
No,
Not
in
in
real
real
life.
What?
Well, just because.
Oh, Andre Giant.
Andre the Giant.
okay,
yeah.
okay, gotcha.
And he was in that movie. My wife's favorite movie.
Yeah. Princess Bride.
Oh, yeah.
So he was filming that. And like when you look at like his hands, I mean, he just said his life was miserable because he was an outcast. Like people made fun of him. Like he couldn't like to travel. He did a lot in Japan. And like he couldn't ride in an airplane.
Hey, there was a
fit anywhere.
picture on Twitter.
Yes.
Did you see that one with Andre the Giant, Wilt Chamberlain, and Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh, I saw that too.
On the set of the original Conan the Barbarian. Conan, not Conan O'Brien. Conan the Barbarian. And Schwarzenegger looks like a little person.
Was Andre the Giant in that?
He
Conan
must
the
have
Barbarian?
been. I don't remember. I don't remember him being in it. I remember Wilt being in it
Yeah.
So there's
and Grace Jones.
it's a true story. I think they say that on one flight or one day, one time, he drank 123 beers.
Andre the Giant?
Yeah.
And there are pictures of him holding a beer, and it looks like a shot glass.
Yes.
It's incredible.
It's a great documentary.
I'll check it out.
So who's your number 2, Ruck?
Number 2 for me, I don't know if you guys will have even heard him. He was wrestling against my number 1 in their biggest match. My number 2 is Yokozuna. Do you remember him?
I know who. I've heard of that.
I've never heard of that
He was
person.
this big Asian dude who would do, his move was the bonsai drop. He would basically bring the guy, I believe, over to the side of the ring, and he would just like get up on the edge of the turnbuckle in the corner, and he would just like drop his butt right onto their face. Oh. Devastating move. Just like sitting right on their face.
Oh my God.
And I think he was a champion at one point. You know, he was big time, probably trying to get the audience from Japan who's big into the sumo wrestlers to integrate over into pro wrestling as well. Because at first, when I was trying to remember Yokozuna's name, I was thinking of Yakibono, which Akibono is a super famous sumo wrestler as well. So different guys though. Yeah, Yokozuna.
So my number 1. I went back and forth. You know, I still feel bad on a few, but Ric Flair he's one of a kind. Like he's legend.
Woo!
I mean, just when he comes out, you know, profiling, limo riding, private jet flying, and he's got the robes, and so there's a show on, I'm not sure what channel, where it does like WWE Treasures.
Yeah.
And then it shows these guys now that are retired and they've lost memorabilia. And then WWE tries to help with them go back and find it. And so like finding some of his robes, because people steal stuff.
Yeah.
But he's legend.
What was his name? Didn't he have a name like Mr. Wonderful?
No, that's
Incredible?
Mr. Wonderful is Paul Orndorff.
Paul Orndorff. He was the
He's
different wrestler.
Yeah.
Okay. Same age? Like same.
Ric Flair was Nature Boy.
Yeah, the Nature Boy, Ric
there
Flair.
we go.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But just like even his documentary, these documentaries are fascinating because Like they were, I mean, how they partied, how they lived, like how they dressed, how they, like just the stuff they had to take because they weren't taken care of.
No.
In terms of physical, like they had to take drugs just to be able to maintain on the road every week, all year.
When you start to look back at some of these guys, so
can't-
many of them are already dead.
Yeah.
And it's like they lived 50 years and that was it.
Because they're all on steroids,
Yeah.
first off. But just all the stuff.
And then just beat to hell.
Oh,
You mentioned some sort of show where they help them find it. Actually,
Treasures.
remember now, there's also a show, I think on Netflix, where it's these people that are, man, I'm going to have a hard time explaining this. Basically, it's almost like an auction show. And so sometimes these items come up where they find them that are unique pieces. And actually, they had Ric Flair on there because someone found one of his old, like, robes that he wear, like something like that. And so they actually had him come in because the auctioneer, who I think it's Gold's Auctions or something like that,
to verify it?
Yeah, had him verify it. So that was kind of cool.
So what they would do is they would trade. They'd go to these guys' houses, and literally their entire basement is full of WWE memorabilia, like their entire house.
Wow.
So they would be like, "Hey, can I have this robe?
Yeah.
And we'll give you this." Mm-hmm. But Ric Flair, I mean, there's so many others. After you're done with your top one, I'm going to give you a few others to honorable mentions.
So my number one's a Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Yeah.
Biography coming out on him this spring. Good sports biographer, John Finkel, is doing a Macho
Really?
Man biography.
I can't wait to read
I
that.
can't wait to read it. And he was just iconic.
Yeah.
You know, the way he talked, I'm not even going to try to imitate it, but yeah,
I would love it.
I'm not going to. I'm not going to, especially with this non-alcoholic beer.
Now he's in the commercial for Snap It to a Slim Jim. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy. And you remember he had his his wife,
Elizabeth.
Miss Elizabeth,
Yeah.
and they had a bad breakup
Oh, yeah.
on one of the WrestleManias.
So he was going to be a professional baseball player.
He was. His real name was Randy Poffo, and he actually, his brother,
Yeah.
Leap and Lanny Poffo. Do you remember him? Mm-hmm. He was one of the guys that was always on the undercard.
Yep.
But I guess the Poffo family was a big wrestling family, but the Macho Man played minor league baseball.
It's amazing how many of these guys were actually big time athletes, college football, baseball, all that kind of stuff. So my memory, I'm trying to think of when I saw the Macho Man wrestle. And if it was one of the last times where he's like backstage and he's like, is he like bleeding out or something like that? Am I
Well, they would take
misremembering
razor
that?
blades and cut themselves.
Just like so that it looked like they were bleeding?
Well, they were bleeding. So they'd get down on the turnbuckle and you can see them like, and then all of a sudden they're bleeding
There's blood everywhere.
because they would just take a razor blade and cut themselves
That's
and have it like in their wristband or something.
That's insane.
Oh, yeah.
So who's your number one, Ruck?
You know, my number one may not be well known. When I looked him up, because this is one of the few guys I remember, they made some claim about him being one of the most popular wrestlers of all time. I don't know if that's true. His name's Lex Luger.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I still remember him fighting Yokozuna, and because Yokozuna is so big, it was like, I want to say it was like WrestleMania 10 or something like that, WWF. They're on like an aircraft carrier, and he just like suplexes him, which is crazy, lifting that huge of a man up in the air and wins. I think he won WrestleMania 10, if I'm remembering correctly. But he was one of those guys that just basically wear the brief, you know, the shiny brief. I think in some ways he was sort of that like Dallas Cowboys vibe of like everybody's wrestler at that time in the 90s.
So if you saw him today, you would not even...
Dude, he's haggard. I looked him up.
Dude, he's probably 100 pounds lighter,
Yeah.
and he looks like 10 years of straight steroids. Because that's all they were doing. Like, you can tell.
Yeah.
So Ruck brought up WrestleMania 10. Do you remember the original WrestleMania?
Yes.
So the original WrestleMania, I mean, it was like the biggest event you could ever imagine. You had
We watched
it was pay-per-view, right?
Yeah, but it was not expensive.
Right. Cyndi Lauper,
Yeah, and remember the guy with the
Captain Lou Albano.
yeah.
Yeah. And he was in the video. He was in the video. She did a song for the Goonies.
Yes.
And he was in the video sitting there eating potato chips.
Yes.
Remember that?
He's got like rubber bands that look
Yes.
like onions. His
Yeah.
beard.
And then Muhammad Ali was at WrestleMania. Mr. T. Because Mr. T and Hulk Hogan were in Rocky 3, right?
Yep.
Hulk Hogan's in Rocky 3?
Oh yeah.
Thunder Lips.
Oh, man, I don't remember that
Oh,
at
he
all.
tries to kill Rocky.
Dang, I got to go back and watch that.
Yeah.
This is bringing back some
That's
memories.
Clubber Lang, right?
Clubber Lang, yeah.
But if you think about some of those guys, Bret Hart,
The Hart Foundation.
Bret the Hitman Hart.
and Jim the Anvil.
Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Yeah. Those guys were great.
And you remember their manager?
Yes.
Jimmy the Mouth of the South Hart.
And then you had Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Oh, yeah. And the announcers.
Yeah.
Mean Gene Okerlund and Jesse the Body Ventura.
Oh, Jesse
Yeah.
the
And
Body
then,
Ventura.
How about Junkyard Dog?
Oh, yeah. And then who was the older announcer? Gorilla Monsoon.
Yep.
I feel like there's another one, British Bulldog. You remember?
Oh,
him?
yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah.
British Bulldog.
Bulldogs.
And then Mr. Wonderful, we did that.
That was Paul
$1 Million
Orndorff, right?
Man. Ted DiBiase.
Was Mr. Wonderful.
Paul Orndorff.
Yeah.
Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man.
Yeah.
Jake the Snake.
Yes. Big John Studd.
Man, these are. I love this stuff.
The names are just so good.
Big John Studd. That's a good one.
We talked about Ricky Steamboat.
Yep.
I mean, at this point, don't you think that?
Oh, how about Ultimate Warrior?
Yeah. Jeez.
He's dead. Didn't not Rowdy, but Randy Macho Man, didn't he have a heart attack and die in his car?
I think
He
so.
crashed into something. Yeah.
I think so.
Wild.
I'm looking at, I just Wikipedia'd the original WrestleMania. Celebrities there were Aretha Franklin. Ones I have not mentioned: Mike Tyson, Donald Trump, Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg?
Yeah.
What year was that?
No, I'm sorry. That's WrestleMania in general.
Oh.
Okay. I was trying to look at the first WrestleMania.
Oh, man, those are the good old days.
WrestleMania 1. Oh, you remember Wendy Richter, the female wrestler?
No.
So she beat Leilani Kai.
Leilani Kai.
Yeah, to win the women's championship. So Wendy Richter was managed by Cyndi Lauper.
Leilani Kai must be from Hawaii.
Hey, I got one for you here. This is going to bring you way back. Do you remember the U.S. Express? Mike Rotundo and Barry Windham.
Oh, wow. That's old.
Wow.
I do not remember that at all.
So Gene Okerlund, do you remember the fast food chain? The Mean Gene's burger joint?
Oh, yeah. Is he passed, right?
He had to have. I mean, he'd always wear the tux.
Well,
Man.
That's some good old days.
it's fun going back through memory lane, remembering all those ones. It's crazy to think that something like professional wrestling kind of exists, even still today.
It's the most, like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's still the most watched Monday nights, WW Raw or Raw on Mondays, and like whatever else. Ugh.
Well,
All right.
We hope that you had some memories come back for yourself here on this episode of View from the Rock podcast, talking about the top 3 pro wrestlers of all time. Just a reminder that if you have anything that you'd want to let us know about that we messed up on, wrestlers we forgot, or top movie soundtracks that we should have mentioned, email us at theviewfromtherock@gmail.com. And you can also message us at The View from the Rock Instagram. Until next time, you can listen to any of our podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere else you listen to your podcasts. Everyone, stay safe.